My name is Jonathan Carter, and I need you to listen carefully to what I'm about to say. We are running out of time. 6 years ago, when I was 13, I was clinically dead for 9 minutes and 36 seconds. And during that time, I saw things no one should ever see. Ghosts. No, not just ghosts. Tormenting spirits have haunted me ever since. What I experienced was not just frightening, it was utterly terrifying. Despite everything, they sent me back. People need to hear this message, whether they want to or not. Before we begin, let me know where you are listening from. It would be good to feel a little closer, even if we are physically apart. Also, don't forget to like this video and share your thoughts on my near-death experience. Let's have an open and fair discussion on this channel so we can all learn from one another. Now, listen carefully. It happened on February 12th, 2019. I had morning swim practice at 5:30 a.m. The pool was my second home. I had been swimming competitively since I was 6 years old, and I was good at it. That morning, I challenged myself to surpass my personal record in the 400-meter individual medley. I remember the final lap. My arms sliced through the water, my muscles burned, and my lungs screamed for air. Everything felt normal until it wasn't. Later, the doctors told me it was an undiagnosed heart condition called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. One moment I was swimming. The next, my heart stopped. I felt no pain, just a sudden crushing heaviness in my chest. The water around me darkened. I was sinking. I remember thinking this isn't how it ends. But it was. What happened next is where most people start doubting my story. But you need to understand, what I experienced was more real than anything I've ever known in this physical world. My heart stopped, and suddenly I was floating above the pool. I saw my coach, Thompson, diving in, pulling my body to the surface. I could hear his frantic voice shouting for someone to call 911. Panic spread across the faces of my teammates as they started CPR, but I felt nothing. No fear, no pain, just an eerie calmness, as if I were watching a movie of someone else's life. Then everything changed. The pool, the people, the world around me, they all vanished. I felt a force pulling me, drawing me into a tunnel. But this was no ordinary darkness. This darkness was alive. It moved. It whispered. It reached for me with countless unseen hands. The whispers weren't in English, yet somehow I understood them. They were voices of torment, of despair, souls who had made the wrong choices and were now suffering the consequences for eternity. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. I tried to resist, but I was helpless. The darkness wrapped around me, pressing in from all sides, suffocating me, consuming me. And then everything stopped. Just as I was about to give up, light exploded around me. But light isn't the right word. This wasn't just illumination. This was living light, pure energy, power, beyond anything in this world. And standing at the center of it was Jesus, but not the gentle, soft-spoken Jesus from Sunday school pictures. This was Jesus in all his glory. His presence was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. I collapsed onto my knees, or whatever position I occupied in that realm. His radiance was so intense that I couldn't even look at him directly. And that was just the beginning. When he spoke, his voice resonated through every part of my being. "Jonathan," he said. In that single word, I felt both an overwhelming love and a deep, sorrowful weight. "Do you know why you are here?" I couldn't answer. How do you respond to the creator of the universe? But he didn't wait for my reply. He lifted his hand, and in an instant, my entire life unfolded before me. It wasn't just a series of memories. I saw the true impact of every decision I had ever made. Not just what I had done, but the unseen ripples my actions had created. When I laughed at a freshman being bullied, I saw how that moment shattered his confidence, leaving him questioning his worth. When I ignored someone in need because I was too consumed with my own life, I felt their loneliness, their silent cries for help. But it wasn't all despair. I also saw the good, the times I had shown kindness without even realizing it. A simple word of encouragement, a small act of generosity, things I had long forgotten, had completely changed someone's day, sometimes even their life. Everything mattered. Every choice, every word, every action sent ripples through eternity. Then, Jesus showed me something that still makes me wake up screaming at night. He showed me hell. Not the cartoonish version with red demons and pitchforks. This was far worse. This was absolute separation from God. A place where hope didn't exist, where the darkness was not just an absence of light, but a presence, a living, suffocating force that crushed everything in its grasp. I saw torment beyond the physical. I recognized people there, people who had gone to church, people who had called themselves Christians, but had never truly surrendered their hearts to Jesus. They screamed. Their agony echoed endlessly, a sound that will haunt me forever. They reached out, begging for another chance, but it was too late. One of them kept repeating the same phrase over and over. I thought I had more time. Then Jesus raised his hand again. Suddenly, we were standing before something so vast it defied comprehension, the book of life. But it wasn't just a book. It was alive, pulsing with divine energy. Its pages weren't made of paper, but of living light, and the names written on them burned like fire. Watch, Jesus said. As I turned the pages, I saw something that deeply hurt me. Names were fading, disappearing right before my eyes. Some dissolved gradually, like ink being washed away. Others flickered like dying flames before vanishing completely. These are the ones who once knew me, Jesus said. They called themselves mine, but their hearts grew cold. With every sin they chose, every time they ignored my voice, their names faded a little more. They will soon disappear entirely. I saw names I recognized, people from my school, my neighborhood, even from churches, people who believed they were saved because they had prayed once, or been baptized, or gone to church on Sundays, but their names were fading second by second. But Lord, I pleaded, they believe in you. They go to church. They pray. Jesus gazed at me, and his subsequent words profoundly affected me. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord. He said, but I will tell them, I never knew you. They honored me with their lips, but their hearts were far from me. Then he showed me something even more terrifying, the state of our world right now. But now I was seeing everything through spiritual eyes. I saw demons moving freely through crowds, whispering lies into people's ears. You have time. God is love. He would never send anyone to hell. You're a good person. That's enough. People believed these lies, walking straight into destruction, convinced they were safe. I saw churches filled with people raising their hands in worship, yet their hearts were far from God. I saw pastors preaching messages that never confronted sin, never called for genuine repentance, sermons designed to make people feel comfortable rather than transformed. I saw Christians living no differently than the world, justifying their sin, believing they were safe simply because they had said a prayer years ago. Then Jesus showed me what was coming. The visions were so intense, so real, that even now I struggle to describe them. I saw darkness spreading over the earth like a living shadow, engulfing everything. I watched as people chose evil over good, calling good evil and evil good. I witnessed persecution against true believers. I saw many abandon Jesus when following him required real sacrifice. Then an enormous angel appeared, radiating power and authority. His voice shook everything around us as he declared, "The harvest is ready, but many will miss out because they waited too long." I saw waves of devastation, not just physical disasters, but spiritual darkness consuming entire nations. I realized how close we are to the end, how little time remains. But what terrified me the most was seeing how oblivious people are to what is coming. They are so consumed with their phones, their entertainment, their politics, and their distractions. They can't see how quickly time is running out. Then, Jesus revealed something that still makes me tremble. He showed me the exact moment when the door closed, when it was too late to choose him. I saw people suddenly realize the truth, begging for more time, pleading for mercy, but the door was shut. They had lost their chances. "This is why I brought you here," Jesus said. "This is why you must go back. They must be warned. Time is shorter than they know." And then I saw them, the demons. They surrounded us in a massive circle, just beyond the light that radiated from Jesus. Their eyes burned with a sickly red glow, their forms shifting like living smoke. They weren't cartoonish imps. They were ancient, powerful beings, full of pure hatred, and they were watching me. "Remember their faces," Jesus said, "because they watch everyone, waiting, whispering lies, leading souls to destruction. Every time someone chooses sin over me, these spirits gain more power over them." The demons laughed, a sound that sent chills through my soul. "Do you really think telling them will change anything?" They mocked. "They won't listen. They love their sin too much. They'll choose us, just like they always have." However, Jesus' work was not complete. He showed me heaven, and no words can fully capture what I saw. The colors were more vivid than anything on earth. The music was flawless, beyond any human composition. The joy, the peace, the love, it was overwhelming. But what struck me the most was who was there and who wasn't. I saw people I never expected, the broken, the humble, those who had truly surrendered their hearts to Jesus. And I saw empty spaces where religious leaders should have been. Spaces were meant for those who believed their church attendance, their good deeds, and their status would save them. "The gate is narrow," Jesus said, "and few find it." "Not because I don't want them," Jesus said, "but because they don't want me. Not really. They want a God they can control, a salvation that doesn't require surrender." Then he revealed my own heart. I saw my religious pride, my self-righteousness, my casual attitude toward sin. I realized I had created a God in my own image, one who didn't require true repentance, one who would let me live however I chose. "This is why you died today," Jesus explained, "so you could see the truth and warn others. Jonathan, your time is running out. The enemy has convinced them they have plenty of time to turn to me, but they don't. The door is closing." Tears streamed down my face, or whatever the spiritual equivalent of tears was in that realm. "Lord," I asked, "how can I warn them? They won't believe me." "Some won't," he acknowledged, "but some will. Tell them what you've seen. Tell them that believing in me isn't enough. The demons believe in me too. Tell them that going to church isn't enough. Tell them that being a good person isn't enough. They must surrender everything to me before it's too late. I suddenly felt a pulling sensation. Light surrounded me. I was fading. Wait, I cried. I have so many questions. But Jesus simply repeated, tell them what you've seen. Tell them time is running out. And then I gasped for air. I was back on the pool deck, paramedics working frantically on me. I had been dead for 9 minutes and 36 seconds. The doctors called it a miracle. They had no medical explanation for why my heart had started beating again, or why I had no brain damage despite being without oxygen for so long. The physical recovery was difficult. 3 days in the ICU, weeks of tests and monitoring. But none of that compared to the spiritual battle that began the moment I returned. The enemy did not want this message to spread. The attacks started the first night I was home from the hospital. At exactly 3 a.m., I woke up. The room was freezing. My breath hung in the air. And then I saw it, a shadow, darker than the darkness itself, lurking in the corner of my room. Then came the laughter, that same sickening laughter from hell. The air grew heavy, suffocating. Then a voice hissed, "They will not believe you. You should stay quiet. Who would listen to a kid anyway?" But that was only the beginning. The demons I had seen with Jesus, they had not forgotten me. Night after night, they came. Sometimes they just watched, their red eyes glowing in the dark. Other times, they tormented me. They showed me visions of hell, reminding me of what I had seen, trying to scare me into silence. They whispered doubts into my mind. Maybe it was just a dream. Maybe you imagined it. Maybe you're going crazy. But I knew what I saw was real. And more than that, I knew why they were trying so hard to silence me, because this message matters. This testimony, it's not just another story. It's a final warning to a world that is running out of time. So let me be clear. What Jesus showed me, I will not sugarcoat it. The world is on the verge of something terrifying. The darkness isn't coming. It's already here. And those demons I saw, they are moving through our world right now, whispering lies, leading souls to destruction. Most people can't see them because they are spiritually blind. Then Jesus showed me the truth. Right now, in this world, there are only 3 kinds of people. Right now, there are 3 kinds of people in the world. First, there are those who openly reject God, but they are not the ones who concern me most, because at least they are honest about where they stand. Second, there are those who believe they are saved, but are not. These individuals deeply wounded Jesus' heart. They go to church. They say they believe. They think they are Christians because they prayed a prayer once, were baptized, or did good deeds. But they have never fully surrendered their lives to Jesus. They want the benefits of salvation without the cost of discipleship, and their names are fading from the book of life, yet they don't even realize it. Third, there are true believers, those who have completely surrendered to Jesus, but even among them, many are asleep, distracted, consumed by the world, unaware of how little time remains. Since my return, I cannot look at a crowd without remembering what Jesus showed me. How many of them are deceived? How many think they are saved but are not? How many are walking straight toward destruction while believing they are on the right path? But the hardest part is watching people's reactions when I tell them what I've seen. Some mock me. Some say I'm too young to understand spiritual things. Some smile politely and say, "That's nice, but our God isn't like that." They don't realize they're doing exactly what Jesus warned me about. People prefer comfortable lies over uncomfortable truths. But the most heartbreaking are those who listen, who know I'm telling the truth, yet still choose to wait. They say things like, okay, serious about God when I'm older. I believe in Jesus. Isn't that enough? They don't understand that tomorrow is not guaranteed. I didn't expect to die at 15, and none of the souls I saw in hell expected to die when they did. The spiritual warfare has not ended. If anything, it has intensified. The enemy is using every tactic to silence this message. Sometimes it's through direct attacks, those nights when demons appear physically in my room. At other times, I hear from people, including Christians, who tell me, "You're being too extreme, too fundamentalist, too scary." But how can I not be concerned when I've seen what's coming? How can I soften the message when I've seen the cost of comfortable Christianity? How can I stay silent when Jesus himself sent me back to warn you? This is what he told me to say. The time is running out, not just for the world, but for you. Every time you ignore his voice, every time you put it off, every time you choose sin over him, your name fades slightly in the book of life. And one day, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, it will be too late. What about today's popular, comfortable, casual Christianity? It is sending people to hell. Jesus showed me souls in torment, shocked to be there. They thought going to church was enough. They thought being a good person was enough. They thought believing in God was enough. They thought they had more time to take their faith seriously. And the demons I saw, they are real. And they are working harder than ever because they know exactly how short the time is. Every time you justify sin, you are choosing the world over Jesus. When you say, "I'll get right with God tomorrow," you are listening to their lies. Is darkness coming? No, it's already here. Jesus showed me how the spiritual realm intersects with our physical world. As you read this, a war is raging for your soul. The enemy is desperate to keep you distracted, to make you believe you have more time, to convince you that a partial commitment is enough. Since sharing my testimony, I've received thousands of messages. Some mock me, some attack me, but others hear the truth in my words. They recognize the urgency. They have turned to Jesus, not just with their words, but with their whole heart. Yet, for every person who listens, hundreds do not. They say things like, "God is love. He wouldn't send anyone to hell. I'm a good person. I believe in Jesus in my own way." But Jesus showed me the book of life, and belief alone is not enough. Even demons believe in God. What matters is complete and total surrender to Jesus. Every night before I sleep, I pray for those still walking in darkness, for those who think they are saved but are not, for those who postpone their decision to follow Jesus completely, because I know what will happen if they don't turn back. I saw it. I felt it. And I would not wish that fate upon anyone. This is not about religion. It's not about rules, traditions, or church attendance. It's about relationships, a real, personal, all-consuming relationship with Jesus. Because when the end comes, and it will, nothing else will matter. Not your money, not your status, not your achievements. All that will matter is whether you truly knew Jesus and whether he truly knew you. The spiritual attacks continue. Last night, I awoke to find my room filled with a demonic presence. The air was heavy with evil. I could hear them whisper, "They won't believe you. You're wasting your time. Give up." But I won't. I can't, because Jesus did not bring me back to live a normal life. He sent me back to warn you before it's too late. I need you to understand something. Jesus loves you. He loves you so much that he sent me back from the dead to warn you. But he will not force you to choose him. That choice must be yours. And it must be total, because half-hearted Christianity is not Christianity at all, because partial commitment is no commitment at all. The time for playing games with God is over. The era of comfortable Christianity is finished. Having one foot in the world and one in heaven, Jesus showed me that this faith will not save you. I died. I saw heaven. I saw hell. I saw Jesus. I received a return message. This is a warning. The clock is ticking. The door is closing. Do not wait until it's too late. This isn't just my story. This is the moment to awaken. The question is, will you listen before it's too late?